Hi guys, my name is Samantha. I am recording this actually to let you know something that's going on. I am in a place called Colby, Kansas, and right now I am fighting a battle I'm not sure that I'm going to win. On September 26th, I was illegally evicted from my apartment by my landlord and several police officers here in Colby. They did not have a judge's order for it. I had not moved out, although my landlord claims I had. It's a difficult situation to be in, so I'm going to give you backstory and let you know everything that's happened. The local media doesn't seem interested in picking this up because, of course, who wants to report that they have police officers who are performing illegal evictions and a city attorney who is acting to cover a city's butt that has police officers that are performing illegal duties. Um, I moved to Colby in July for their fabulous nursing program. They have an absolutely amazing nursing program. Um, it's the reason I moved. I'm a single mom with three boys. Their ages are 8, 6, and 3. I moved in with a landlord named Christy Cruz. I got her off the Thomas County um, Chamber of Commerce list. She agreed to let me move in. I paid her my first month's rent and deposit. She used the deposit to pay back a former tenant's um, a former tenant's overbalance. So she paid him the $750 I had given her for my deposit. I moved in with my children, two emotional support dogs for my children, and my service animal, as well as a husband that I no longer have. She did not tell me that the place was not central heat and air. She told me it was. It was not. Her and her husband smoke like chimneys. So, of course, the smoke filtered down into my house. My son now has asthma due to it. She also didn't tell me that the toilet was leaking sewage. It was. She didn't tell me that the apartment did not come with a fridge and a stove. I had to purchase those. She did write a letter for Social Security because I am on disability, stating I needed to furnish these as well as a washer and dryer. She used my washer and dryer to do her clothing because Sawyer's grandmother, that's Christy's husband, didn't buy him one that had a working oscillator. So I talked to her about the toilet, and she tells me to live with it. And then I write her a letter, which I have a copy of, saying, hey, my husband's no longer here. You said you would walk the dogs. Um, you told me that upstairs was smoking and downstairs was smoke-free, and that I had central heat and air. I don't have any control over my heat. I don't have any control over my air conditioning. Um, I'd like this to be taken care of. I need the toilet fixed. It's leaking sewage everywhere. She finally called in a plumber 2 weeks before she decided to evict me and had it partially fixed. The wax seal was replaced. The plumbers told her she needed to replace the toilet, which she did not do. Her husband, on September 12th, stole my cell phone. I called the cops and reported it, gave them all the information, my memory card information, all of that, and told them, hey, it's been stolen. They caught him on a DUI. He had had 6 beers and 5 shots of bourbon. They arrested him, booked him, and released him. I went in to speak to the chief of police the next day, and he said there was nothing he could do. So the city attorney took the case, and they had just last month started with the prosecution. He pleaded innocent in court. But before all of that happened, my landlord and 5 police officers from the Colby Police Department illegally evicted me from my apartment. I went and spent 2 days with a good friend of mine, Rachel, because Sawyer gets drunk fast and easily, and he had some vacation time he was spending at home, so I knew he would be drinking. I spent 2 days with Rachel, along with my children and my puppies, so that my landlady could have a break from the noise of the kids. She already told me I couldn't have my kids play in my apartment downstairs, and then they couldn't play in her backyard because she needed to sleep at night. Um, so I spend 2 days with Rachel, and I make an agreement with my landlord to go over to um, the house and pick up the rest of my things. I hadn't moved out yet, as I was saying. I needed to pick up my stuff, and she comes over on a Thursday, hands me a piece of paperwork, and asks me to sign her cell phone number over so that she can get on her daddy's plan. I had absolutely no issue with that. I signed the paperwork. She went up to Next Tech. Well, S&T here called me here in Colby and said, hey, the IMEI has been reported as stolen. Will you release this phone for her? I said she can have the number. She cannot have the phone. She hasn't paid anything on the cell phone bill. She hasn't paid anything for the phone. The phone is not hers. So they let her leave with it, my phone, and she took it back the next morning. Well, that evening, she decided to call the police and tell them I had moved out and I was trying to come back over to um, the house to get my belongings, and I had already moved out. I called Officer Steele and I said, hey, I haven't moved out. You're allowing her to take my things. That's theft. I need to be able to get into my house. My children and I haven't moved out yet. He said, and I quote, you moved out. You don't belong there. The stuff's not yours. Don't go on the property or you will be arrested. So the following day, she starts throwing stuff out of my house. And she breaks almost everything she throws out. My recliner that I'm currently sitting in is actually broken. She broke slats off of my children's beds, didn't return the beds to me, only the mattresses, which had been pissed and shit on. Everything she returned to me had piss and shit and antifreeze on it. I have video recordings of all of this, by the way. The officers told me I was not allowed to go into the house to get medication that I am on for several things, fibromyalgia, PTSD, being two of the major ones. So I went through 6 weeks of withdrawals because they decided not to let me get my medication. They wouldn't even go in the house and get my medication. On the 10th of December, I filed a lawsuit against the city police, 3 of them that were there, and my landlords. I went up to the courthouse. I gave them the paperwork. They were very sweet, very understanding. I said, I apologize. I don't want to have to do this, but it looks like this is the only way things are going to get done. The lady told me to take it down to one of the judges and have them give them a date. And she said, well, you have to give them time to respond. And I said, it says on the court papers 10 days. So can we schedule it further out from 10 days? She did give me a January 2nd, court date. So I go to the police office to serve paperwork, and Officer Stodd starts making fun of me because I'm filing paperwork against the police. I could hear her through the glass. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. I got a copy from the city attorney of the original complaint against me. In it, it states I had moved out. I had not. That was false information. It states that I tried to come on the property and get my stuff. It states that the police would allow me to get my belongings if I was there while they were there. They didn't allow me in the apartment. They allowed me to get what she had tossed out in trash bags that had been packed in boxes onto the street. There was no judge's order for an eviction. They didn't have any paperwork for an eviction. This was a forcible eviction. I contacted 2 attorneys here in town. One of them was the city attorney. They couldn't take the case because they were prosecuting Sawyer. And the other one was defending him, so they couldn't take the case. Now, on the 18th, when I called the city attorney to find out where the case was going with Sawyer against the cell phone, keep in mind, He returned said cell phone when they illegally evicted me. He gave it to the cops. They said there's not enough evidence to prosecute him. Besides, you're suing the city. I'm not suing the city. I'm suing 3 police officers for illegally kicking me and 3 children out on the streets. The news media doesn't want to report this, A, because there's more important news, and B, they don't want to get into issues with the city. So I'm taking it to you guys and letting you know what's going on in your town. If you have questions, if you have concerns, please post them in the comments. I appreciate all your support, and if you don't support it, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this. Thank you. Bye.